Please be seated.
March out, the Princess Royal Banner.
Once again, you're watching live coverage from Base Borden, where Princess Anne has just presented the Princess Royal's banner, which you see being carried forward right here away from the ceremony to the Royal Canadian Medical Service, a group that performed some very, very critical work in Afghanistan. They were in charge of NATO's first ever multinational combat zone hospital in the war zones of Afghanistan. There's the Princess Royal in a red coat in the background as she meets some of the people, some of the senior officers, some of the troops who worked on the ground in Afghanistan. Not only did NATO recognize this group, the Royal Canadian Medical Service, but now they received the ultimate recognition from their Colonel-in-Chief as well today. They, at one point during their work in Afghanistan, they were operating what was the busiest field hospital among the combat zones in Afghanistan and Iraq as well. So this is a group that performed courageous work, as their Surgeon General told the audience. Courageous work under tremendous pressure. Very, very dedicated group, being recognized for their valor and their courage today. Princess Anne will also be attending a private ceremony, which is going to start in just a few moments here at Base Borden, where she'll not only be meeting the men and women of the Royal Canadian Medical Service, but also their family members and some of the civilian medical professionals who helped the RCMS in its work. You heard her specifically mention the support that they provide, not only in the combat zone, but here at home as well. And she wanted to honor and recognize all of those people who make up all of the different spokes in the wheel here to help the Royal Canadian Medical Service, the people who care for their fellow soldiers and the wounded and injured in combat zones to do their work. And this is the departure now of the Royal Guard as the ceremony officially winds down. So after today's reception, today's private reception out at Base Borden, where Princess Anne will have a chance for some one-on-one chats with members of the RCMS, their families, and the support groups, she is then off for a very busy afternoon in Toronto. She will be visiting Lieutenant Governor David Onley, a private reception with the Lieutenant Governor, and she'll also be meeting with members of some groups, some service groups, some recognition and awards groups which have connections to the royal family and to military service as well. So she'll be doing that in Toronto this afternoon, and then she's heading off to Kingston, where she is visiting another Canadian military service group, of which she's Colonel-in-Chief, and that is the Communications and Electronics branch of the Canadian military, the Communications and Electronics branch based in Kingston. So this pretty much wraps up Princess Anne's visit to our area. Of course, it was a big day for people in Barrie yesterday who got to see her along the city's waterfront as she dedicated a monument which is going to be the cornerstone of the future Military Heritage Park, paying tribute to Victoria Cross recipients in Canada, all 96 of them. And then today visiting her troops with the Royal Canadian Medical Service, as it used to be known, the Canadian Forces Medical Service, out at Base Borden. Some troops who've performed courageous work under very, very trying circumstances, both in the battlefields of Afghanistan, in disaster zones like the post-earthquake relief efforts in Haiti, and through their various different names and under their various different military umbrellas, all kinds of work during the First World War, Second World War, Korea, all sorts of international conflict and disaster zones. A very, very courageous work being recognized out at Base Borden today by a member of the royal family, Princess Anne, on her 21st visit to Canada. We have reporters in the field as well, out speaking with everybody who's been involved in today's ceremony and in the planning at Base Borden, and they'll be bringing us their thoughts tonight on CTV News at 6. We will have full coverage of day 2 of the royal visit of Princess Anne, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, in our area. As well, we're going to bring you the story about what's happening with the royal family back in the UK today as well, as a smaller private reception happens for the christening of Prince George, who's only a few months old, and he's being christened today. No great aunts or uncles at that ceremony back in the UK, which is why Princess Anne continued with her activities here in Canada, and that wraps it up for her events in the Simcoe County area. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to watch our live coverage this morning for the past couple of hours. We've enjoyed bringing it to you, and we hope you've enjoyed being able to experience it as well, and you'll hear some stuff and see some things that you didn't get to experience in our live coverage by joining us tonight on CTV News at 6. So we'll see you then. For now, I'm Tony Grace in the CTV Newsroom. Thanks for watching, and join us tonight.